I bid you welcome, or welcome back. I've been absent pretty much from this channel for the last few months, and what you can see here is part of the reason. I finished a prototype of a 13-page sample of the first chapter of my comic. So the reason I have this in front of me, this is like freshly printed. I just took this home from the local print shop. I had to assemble this sample for my upcoming graphics design exam, because we had to choose a project that was completely our own, and I chose the illustration project, and inside that I made this little comic sample. On this cover you can see the main character Sunshine, who unfortunately doesn't appear that much in this issue, because this is mostly the story of Willow, their found siblings. So they are found siblings living in a found family of 6 non-binary autistic monsters, as the backside says. By the way, this backside is just a placeholder. I want to redo this for the final exam. This was really just a test print, and the entire thing is written here in Hungarian, but it roughly says that Stitches is a slice of life urban fantasy comic with gothic horror elements that tells the story of this found family, and the stories within it are all based on real life experiences and real stories of people and myself. And so the entire thing is 16 pages, including the backside and the front cover, and 3 copies of this was about $20 US at a local print shop, so it's not that big of a deal. I've been testing out different printing options, and this is the best version that was printed out. Now in the inside cover, here we have a really quick description of the chapter itself, which is chapter 1. This is a story about the main character Sunshine, who has one of their donors, last living family member, died. That sentence was strange. And Sunshine is tasked with the task. Wow, I can speak English very well. It's only my 5th attempt at recording this video. Sunshine is tasked to hold and organize the funeral and everything after the death of a family member, and on this journey they are accompanied by Willow, who is their found sibling, and they have to face the trials of this unusual journey together. And this 13-page sample tells the story of Willow through a flashback sequence that is about their necklace. It will all make sense in a moment. And also I have this little note that this is all written in English, because I did not translate it to Hungarian entirely, partially because I couldn't really, I'm just, I'm at a confidence level where I can write stuff in English, but I struggle with properly translating them. And, it was also partially a creative choice that I do not want this to be in anything but English, because of many things about the language and the like subtext. But on the first page, we see it starts with day 3, so this is not the beginning of the entire story. This is Willow and Sunshine, who are staying not in their home, but in the home of the former dead family member of Sunshine's donor. And Willow is being kept at night because they are experiencing one of the symptoms of lycanthropy, which is getting into a dissociation stage, which is like a state where your brain loses the connection with reality. And in the middle of the night at 3 a.m. they grab their phone to look for dissociation help videos for lichens, and they click on this video that was made by Luna, who is their found sibling, which is supposed to help someone who's experiencing dissociation, especially if it's a lichen, because it's the lichen edition of the 5-4-3-2-1 exercise for dissociation. I'm explaining what it is in a moment. But here Luna name drops Willow because they made this video together, because Willow is a lichen, and with their help they together made a help video for lichens dissociating, and now Willow is watching their own video in order to help themselves. And Luna explains that at this point they will do the exercise, which contains using all of your senses in order to ground yourself into reality, and you have to do things like name 5 things that you can hear, and then Willow names, an owl outside of the window, noise of distant traffic, noise of the springs in the mattress, and 4 things that you can see. I can see your eye, I can see the LED light of the modem, I can see my chipped fingernail. And here's a visual thing that the degree of seriousness of the dissociation is shown through the speech bubble falling apart, and at the start of the page it's like barely in one piece, and as the spread continues, this gets continuously better and better as the symptom is lessening. And in the end, Luna says that the last step is getting something that you can touch, and it has to be something that holds a very important memory that can be bitter or sweet. And actually Willow always says that it's the best if it's a little bit both. And at this point, Willow sorry, my throat is gone. Willow touches their necklace, and here a flashback sequence starts where they remember their old necklace that was a heart-shaped lacquer or laquette. I don't remember which one laquette. Is it a laquette or a lacquer? I think it's a laquette. And without much explanation, we see them ripping off the old necklace and throwing it into the trash. in like a rage after something happened. It is never explained what exactly happened in this scene. But then the next day, Willow takes this out of the trash and drills a hole into it and starts wearing the heart locket upside down. And here we see that Willow is an amateur comedian who is just holding, what's it called, a performance, and they are wearing the upside down heart necklace and they are talking about it. And here's like a page where the monologue that they say transitions into the next scene as they are walking home after the event. And this is a really important page for me because I really wanted to show that someone who's been through some sort of trauma and is still in the stage of coming to terms with it might actually be momentarily feeling well, and they are holding an entire comic performance where they are joking around and doing their thing, and meanwhile you're making some of your best memories and doing some of your best performances. You might not actually be at the mental space where you seem like you are. So this is like a very important transition page that shows this character's struggle. And here is my possibly personal favorite page. So you can see how Willow's hair is much longer than 2 pages earlier, because this shows how much time passed in this flashback sequence. Willow is traveling on a subway, and you can see that the necklace is a little bit broken already, and somebody ends up tripping and they push Willow a little bit, and then the necklace breaks off and it lands on the floor. And then Willow gets off the train and the locket is no longer there, and they did not notice that it is gone. And then Willow goes into work, and when changing clothes they realize that it was broken down and just puts it into the locker. This is like a really cool thing that I did, or at least I feel like I managed to do something unique here, that these 3 panels show how the locket is pushed, not the locket, the string of the locket is placed into the locket, and then some time passes, and at the end of the workday Willow comes back to it. And it's just, this entire page was meant to show the monotone and dragged out feeling of someone experiencing a distressing thing and still having to work, and it's like something that affects their entire day. In the next page, some of the other family members show up, including Violet, who is the person who made the heart-shaped necklaces for all of the family members. And they notice that Willow, who is the latest member of the family, sort of not even a member yet, they lost their necklace, the original one, and says that they want to make one for them as well. And here we can see the other necklaces of the other family members show up, and they are all unique and they all symbolize something, and the only one that is missing is Willow's necklace, who says, yes, I like that, yes, thank you, and looks away in a not suspicious way, in a somewhat distressed and concerned way. And on the next page that takes place a few minutes later, we see Willow talking to Bubbles, who is trying to reassure them that everything is gonna be fine and they will stick together, and Willow is not gonna be abandoned, and that Violet really likes Willow as well, and they genuinely just want to make a heart necklace for them as well. And here's a cool thing that Bubbles mentions this other character named Lee without saying out their name, and the face of Lee pops up in between the panels. And here we progress to the birthday of Willow, who is also very concerned here, and there is Lee, the person who just showed up a page earlier. And Willow gets the present from Violet, which is the heart-shaped necklace, and first just takes it out of the box, like right side up, the way you make a heart symbol in real life. And then they realize that it is actually upside down like the original necklace was. So it wasn't turned back by Violet, but Violet actually accepted, for whatever reason, Willow had to have the heart upside down, and just made an upside down heart that was identical to the other ones, instead of trying to force it back into the way it was supposed to be. And at the last panel we transition back into the present day, where Willow says, my necklace is the thing that I touched. And the symptom of the dissociation, the speech bubble falling apart, is no longer there. And that is the end of the sample with the 13 pages. Sorry, my throat is like... I didn't warm up properly, and I tried to record this video multiple times, and me trying to do my voice is a little bit taxing on this. Okay, so now I showed you roughly the entire thing, and I want to flip through it once more and just point out a few things that I found interesting. Actually, let's start with a very funny continuity error. So Sunshine has a piercing in their lower lip. It's not that visible. I should actually adjust the camera for this a little bit. Sunshine has that piercing, and on the first page right away, very first page, continuity error, the piercing is missing. And you can say that, yeah, Sunshine just took it out for sleeping, but one page later it is back there. So whoopsies, that was an error, and actually on the only single other page where sunshine shows up towards the end, I'll find it really quickly. I'm trying to flip it with one hand. On this other page, sunshine also doesn't have the piercing, which is okay, fine, nobody will recognize that. But also there is a little continuity error here because Willow changes the undershirt between pages. Now you can see that these don't take place at the same time, but I deliberately made this Slenderman free hugs shirt appear one page earlier in order to connect these. Also, originally Bubbles, the character who was also here, wasn't here on this page. I added them afterwards in order to connect these two pages together. And what happened here was I wanted to put an extra layer of clothing on Bubbles for the outside scene because Willow is a lichen, also known as like a werewolf subtype, who has better cold tolerance than Bubbles, who is a Frankensteinian monster who is recovering from an eating disorder, who is still chronically thin. So they had to wear something that is much warmer than the thing they had here. And you know, I thought all of that through, and in the meantime I actually did not change the color of the sleeves here. I know, little continuity error that nobody will ever notice. Speaking of those things, Lee has a necklace here that mysteriously disappears by the end of the page. You know, sometimes things like this happen. I wanted to point this out that there are few panels where I used the exact same image for multiple panels, but I changed something in them. For example, here only the hand of Willow is changed because it's like getting lowered down, and the eyes also change, and there's a little teardrop on the cheek there. But all these are almost the exact same page, exact same panel, and also this hand with the heart. This is the exact same thing. I just added the other hand lifting up the little string of the necklace. The most noticeable, well, this page is also very noticeable that these are the same characters. I literally like modified Bubbles multiple times, tipped the head downwards and raised the arm, like I repainted this entire arm in order to make them appear as if they were like talking and lifting an arm. And here I flipped around the head and made the character bigger because Willow just stopped while walking and Bubbles keeps walking, and there's this effect that Bubbles is walking a little bit like faster than Willow, and we can see that they go past each other. Here I also did the same thing with the locker. The thing that you can see here is that we have this little clock that shows the time of the day, and it goes from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. And while Willow just puts it in, staring blankly into the mirror at the back of the little locker, by the time they get it out, they have some tears in their eyes that is visible through a very faint reflection, really showing that that this is something like losing this necklace, as much of a reminder of some trauma it was. It is something very important, and it's an important thing that they still kept, and then losing it is something that that really affects them emotionally. And earlier we have this garbage can that is also a copy paste. I just used a bunch of adjustment layers to turn this into a night scene, and then to add back Willow's shadow as they go towards the trash can. Also, this shadow is like very tiny now that I look at it. Doesn't matter that much. But also here I did the exact same thing with this hand. I made the daylight version of this hand, and I used a bunch of adjustment layers and a few like hand repainting in order to modify it and just turn this into the original, the night scene hand from the present day. What else should I point at? This might be one of my favorite panels. So Luna is telling that there's this whole like conspiracy theory or like false belief that lichens are all murderers, and while being in a really mentally unwell place, you have to remember as a lichen that you are not a murderer, and the "you are not a murderer" little bubble shows up as a reflection inside of Willow's eyeball. I don't remember when I came up with this idea, but I really cherish that this managed to get it in here. So here we have Hex, which is a parody of Axe body spray. I hid a few little Easter eggs like this, and I will make more in the final version once I manage to finish it. And now I just want to say that I am planning on continuing this comic after I have my exam. Sorry, my voice and language skills are just falling apart by now. I am very much planning on continuing the story of Sunshine, and I already have like halfway finished pages from the entire chapter 1, which I plan to be around 60 pages long. and all of it is going to be available for free online for everyone. And you can actually go and check out a digital version of this 13-page sample in a post on my channel, and I will update everyone with any future updates about the comic. And also I did in fact record the entire time lapse of everything that you see here. I haven't recorded all of it, and I want to turn it into a series of videos about me making my comic. I just wanted to really quickly show you this version of the prototype that I managed to get together. And also, funny thing, I got it printed out, and this is the first version, and this is the fixed version, and they are perceptually indistinguishable, I would say. So I tweaked some settings, and I made this brighter, and it still appears pretty dark compared to what I wanted it to be. But you know, it's always a struggle to print something with very good colors and, you know, turn a digital image into a physical one without it losing many of the quality of the image, and very often the brightness of the image. And that's just a sample. I have this little comic from 2007 that I once got as a present when I was a kid, and it's like an official, like published comic. And you can see that many of the colors and values in this comic are very, very bright compared to what I have here, because these are like very carefully chosen colors. And also, well, you know, it also has a better printing quality, but it wouldn't make that much of a difference. I really made my own work digitally, and it was meant to be, you know, first and foremost displayed digitally. So the printed version might not appear to be the best, but I'm holding my own comic in my hand that I made myself. I'm trying really hard, by the way, not to accidentally flash in my full name on the cover. I'm holding my own comic in my own hand that I made without the help of generative AI, without tracing. You know, I took pictures of myself and my hands to use as reference, and I created all of the characters myself. These are completely original characters who I made for the story, and I came up with how they are related to each other, and I came up with how they help each other. You know, Willow is helping Sunshine in order to get the funeral arrangement, but Willow also needs help from Luna in order to get out from dissociation. But Luna name drops that they made that video together with Willow. Like, these characters are all very connected to each other, and I really want to get that into this story in every possible way, that these characters always have something to do with each other, and they are always influencing their lives, in each other's lives. And that's why I, you know, really found it important to have many of these very small and very intimate moments, like, you know, two characters just going on a walk after a talk with a third one, and they are talking about the talk with the other character, and, you know, one of them is sharing concerns, and the other one is not even just helping, but also name drops, not name drops, but refers to something that Willow might just be still figuring out, which is how they will get together with Lee in the future, which is a thing in the present timeline, but it's still not present in the flashback. But for today, I didn't want to edit this video, but I will need to, because I've been rambling for way too long and way too much. But after I really quickly put together a watchable thing out of this, I will go back and continue studying art history for my exam, because otherwise I am going to fail the exam, and these characters would be very, very disappointed in me. So thank you very much for watching. Have a nice day. Create something, even if it's just a little sample of your comic that you plan to finish one day, because it is very important to start with something. But most importantly, don't forget to have fun while doing that. Farewell.